Now, here it gets tricky. Ish. All by itself means man or a man. How would we say the man? Hey, pathak, dagish forte, right? Nee. Why can't we do this? It's a guttural letter. All right. Have we talked about this for sure? I don't know if we ever brought this into play. Remember I said there are two problems with guttural. Maybe I didn't say there were two problems. I said there are problems with guttural letters. All right. Let's make a sidebar here. Guttural letters. Okay. The two peculiarities of guttural letters are, one, we've already seen it. Help? We've already seen one peculiarity of guttural letters. It has to do with schwa. All right. No regular schwa. It takes a composite schwa, right? Now, here's the second peculiarity of guttural letters. No dagish forte. That is to say, you cannot double a guttural letter, which means that any time we're going to add the definite article to a word that begins with a guttural letter, we got a problem, right? Now, how would you solve this problem? See, what we were doing with the dagish forte was really creating a closed syllable so that we could have a short vowel here. What would the logical thing to do be if you can't double the letter, and therefore you can't have a closed syllable, and therefore you really shouldn't have a short vowel? What could you do to resolve the problem? You could lengthen the vowel. These guys are good. Remember that long vowels can shorten, short vowels can lengthen. They generally lengthen within their vowel family, so that a short A, pathak, will lengthen to a long A, comets. There you go. In fact, this phenomenon, which we are going to see in other contexts as a very familiar problem solver with guttural letters, this is called compensative lengthening. A technical term you probably should learn. Compensative lengthening. Some grammars say compensatory lengthening. Compensative lengthening. Do you understand what that means? We are compensating for the lack of a double letter here. We are compensating for the lack of a closed syllable by lengthening the vowel. This makes perfectly good sense, right? Right. However, that isn't, of course, what always or what happens in every case. Consider a different noun, and now we're going to go one step further. Here's a noun. Have we had Heikal yet? It's in the next lesson. Heikal means temple or palace. It's an interesting word because what's the difference between a temple or a palace? So stump students because they think it's two different things. What's the difference between the word? Its etymology means big house. It's from Akkadian, and it means big house. And in a world where there were very few big houses, there were only two people who lived in a big house. And the only difference between a temple and a palace is which of the two people you're talking about. Right? This is a problem when the people wanted to have a king like the nations. And they got confused about who was living in the big house. Now, that's beside the point. No, it's not completely beside. Let's add the definite article to this, all right? Instead of saying temple, we want to say the temple. What are you going to do? He pathak dagish forte, right? Always do plan A until you run into a reason why you can't do it. All right? We can't do it, of course, because the hey is a guttural and guttural letters can't take dagish forte. How should we resolve this? Well, I just told you that one way, the most logical way, is to lengthen the vowel and have compensative lengthening. There is, however, a second choice. And this choice is called not compensative lengthening, but virtual doubling. Otherwise abbreviated VD. Compensative lengthening, CL, virtual doubling, well, we'll let it go. Now, what does virtual doubling mean? This is a fancy way of saying just quit. Leave it alone. It's as though the consonant is virtually doubled, but not really. All right? Now, in today's world of virtual reality games, we can understand this a lot better than the ancients. But it's as though they pretended the hey was doubled even though it's not, and they allowed you to retain a short vowel in what really is an open syllable, but is a virtually doubled closed syllable. All right? These are the two choices. This is how they solve the problem of a guttural. Your next question is, why some and not others? Right? How do I know this versus this? And it's interesting because certain guttural letters follow one of the two characteristics. Okay? Here, let me write this on a piece of paper. We'll go to the... Here's all you got to know. Okay? With aleph and ayin, and I'm going to put at the head of this list, because this is kind of an addendum, resh. Remember that we said resh acts like a guttural in certain characteristics? Resh acts like a guttural in number 2. All right? So here we have to include resh. Resh cannot take dagish forte. Resh will take a regular schwa, however. So at this point, resh comes into the game. With resh, aleph, and ayin, the definite article is going to show compensative lengthening. With hey and chayth, the definite article is going to show virtual doubling. This will get you through 95% of the battle. There are a few oddities that we'll leave as footnotes for Monday. There are a few cases where there's a little bit of a trick. But for the vast majority of the guttural problem, you see, the regular hey pathak dagish forte is going to cover, I don't know, 75% of the time. The 25% of the time when you have a guttural, 95% of it's going to be covered right here. All right? So if you know this much, you're going to be okay. Okay, what I want to do right now is introduce, in a little bit of a broader way, Chapter 3. We started last time with a quick overview of the definite article. But let me place this in a little bit of broader context. Chapter 3 really deals with prefixes. We will come to see that Hebrew is a language that loves to take root words. And this is true both for nouns and for verb